So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P.A.C.E Radio Show. My name is Al Graham, and we are coming to you live here on lifestyleradio.ca. That's right, we have moved, and we'd like to thank those who have followed us here, and thank our new listeners for showing up and thank them for listening. Yay. I'm sure many of you recognize their introduction music featuring the Killing Time Band and the song It Doesn't Make Sense. If you've never heard the song or the whole song before, then I suggest that you look it up on YouTube or at the killingtimeband.com website. The guests on the P.A.C.E Radio Show are Canadian cannabis advocates, but occasionally we have an international guest. During our show, we like to talk to them about what they are doing to educate people to what they are doing to end cannabis prohibition. As I mentioned last week, the show has rotating joint hosts who work hard to find guests that appear on the show. These include Alison Murden, a longtime cannabis and drug advocate who is also Canada's only female LEAP speaker. Plus, there is also a person behind Northern Ontario Cannabis Educational Resources, and that's Kim Cooper. Plus, tonight, joint host Debbie Stultz-Giffin of the Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana. So those are our joint hosts that rotate and take turns throughout the month. And tonight, Debbie has brought us a guest who many will know, or like myself, may have never met before until tonight. But we'll find out more after I have a little quick chat with Debbie. Debbie, are you there?
I am, Al. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. And yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Yes, good. I won't get into some of the stuff that happens down there on the East Coast tonight, so I don't want to jinx you or anything. So what do you think about getting back and doing live shows? It's been a while. You were with us right from the beginning when we started a couple of years ago. We did live shows for a while, and now we're back into them again.
Oh, well, I'm really quite excited about doing live shows again, Al, and certainly pleased to be back on the show on a monthly basis and looking forward to working with you and all of our guests that will be taking part in the shows.
Yeah, well, hey, Debbie, I appreciate you coming back on a regular basis. Once a month, Debbie will be on the show, and she'll have a guest to talk to our listeners about. And so I think that's great to have you back on as a regular again, Debbie. So just quickly in our news, and I'm sure we'll bring our guests in on this conversation as we get going along here. Did you happen to see, I know you've been busy, but did you happen to see the ruling in the BC courts about a fellow who was supplying the Compassion Center, was it BCCS, and tax, charged $15,000 in taxes?
I noticed that, Al.
It had something to do, yeah, because he received monies for his cannabis and he didn't pay taxes on it. So there was a fight in the courts about it, and it apparently it justifies the government. Like presently, right now, patients are being charged tax on their cannabis from the LPs, and apparently that partially justifies that. And it's just dazzles me. I can't understand why patients should be charged tax. So.
Well, it's my understanding that a basic prescription medication like penicillin doesn't involve being taxed at the pharmacy. So why should medical cannabis be taxed? In fact, I think it's abhorrent that anything of a medical nature like a wheelchair is taxed.
Exactly. Yeah, the judges rule. Yeah. It says here that the judges ruled illegal drugs are taxable while legal drugs can be. So, pretty well all of our prescription drugs, I don't know of anybody who's taxed for them. And that would mean that cannabis would be the only drug that's taxed, that's prescribed that I'm aware of.
So we're just sort of mulling the whole thing around. What makes it illegal? The fact that it's being sold through a compassion club that previously Health Canada deemed to be a gray market? Or does it become illegal because maybe whoever's purchasing it doesn't have a pink slip from the government?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, maybe our guest can fill us in a little bit more on this. And so let's ask him and find out. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Chris Backer to the P.A.C.E radio show. Chris, are you there?
I am. Thanks a lot.
Hey, no problem. It's always great to have people across the country come on the show and talk to us about what they're doing to help others, as well as change the laws, as we say in the beginning. And from my understanding, you've been doing a lot of work.
Just doing my part, I guess.
Well,
like they say, I mean, people sit around and go, I wish somebody would do something about that. And then you think, wait a sec, I'm somebody. So,
yes. I know exactly. What's that, Deb?
Chris is that guy.
Yes. Get out there and say something. Get something said. Okay, before we get going here, I just want to also mention that this is the first time I've had a live studio audience. I actually have my friend Pete sitting here with me, listening in. Say hi, Pete.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Pete.
Welcome. It's nice to have you with us this evening, Pete.
So he'll be listening in, and I always make sure that Joint Host gets lots of questions in, and I'm sure that Pete will get a question in throughout the night here as we go along. So, all right. I'm going to hand Chris over to Debbie and get the interview going.
Well, I'm going to take a slightly different tack than I normally take to start off with. Al had mentioned the story about the Compassion Club in BC and the courts looking for them to pay taxes on illegal drugs as being one of the stories in the news recently. I know there's been another story in the news recently before we wander away from all things current.
Sure.
That's definitely a bone of contention with you, Chris, if you will, and that's the Canadian Centre for Substance Abuse cross-country tour. And I'm wondering if you'd like to we could just spend a few minutes chatting about that before we move on and talk about some of the things that you do in more depth.
Yeah, I like to call that the Conservative Cross-Canada Tour of Lies.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's when it was dropped out that this was actually happening, I had no time to respond to it. I got it out to a couple of people, and it was already a little bit too late. The Canadian Centre for Substance Abuse is putting on this program, and they're trying to basically put the fear of God back into people about cannabis and extol the dangers of it as opposed to the virtues. I mean, one of their mandates is to remove the myth that cannabis cures cancer. Okay, so. And any of us know that is just absolute bullshit. I've seen it work, and it's ridiculous that they're allowed to, when the Liberals are in the midst of legalizing, continue what was obviously a conservative program, part of the $5.5 billion that Rona Ambrose was spending to help protect us from ourselves. And they got four stops across the country to teach healthcare professionals and scientists and care workers about how dangerous cannabis is for children and the adolescent and developing mind. And they're just lies. Not one of the studies is actually true.
Well, what they issued wasn't even really fresh research. My understanding is basically it was a report on old and existing research, and if you blow the dust off of that research, it's flawed beyond repair. I mean, none of it would stand up under any form of scrutiny for more than about 3 seconds.
They're not there to teach anything. All they're there to do is cast doubt. Okay? And the fact that they're getting paid, these are Dalhousie professionals that are going out and doing this. These are people that we're paying to go out and actually tell lies and spread misinformation. I mean, it has to be a human rights violation. It hates to tell people that it's not going to cure cancer is going to cost people lives.
Well, and certainly affect people's health in other ways, and then the ramifications on youth if they continue to perpetuate the myths about all of these potential negative side effects for all children. Then it's only going to continue to cause confusion amongst youth. They're not going to believe anything that people of authority tell them about illicit substances that have the potential to cause them real harm. And
they shouldn't, because we're being lied to. We've been lied to for almost 100 years now. That's the problem. That's why the people that have bought into the lie won't let go of it. It's part of their ideology now. Well, and for some of them, it justifies their existence to keep perpetuating these myths and lies. And well, on the other hand, what happens if they have to admit that they were wrong? They have to atone for, the way things were for the last 30 years, the way they've behaved, the way they've treated people, when now all of a sudden it's okay and there was nobody was doing anything wrong in the first place. It's interesting, too, that the timing of this, it's pretty fresh on the heels of the federal election. And it seems to me, pardon me, in looking at all of that it's part of the continuation of the conservative plan. They funded this research. The arm, there's an actual arm of the government that are behind funding this tour, and I'm guessing that all of those decisions were made before the election to either bolster up the conservative ideology should the Conservatives win the election, or to have it there so that people like Rona Ambrose could continue to shriek, "What about our children?" And holy cow, could she flip-flop any faster and not break her own back? now as she supports Justin Trudeau in his move to legalize. I mean, let's get it going, she says. I mean, holy cow. It's I guess when you have no scruples, I mean, you'll just jump on whatever bandwagon happens to suit your fancy. Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah.
She's a complete 180.
Huh? Yeah, she's been brutal.
Yeah, I mean, this tour that we're talking about is done based on her actions, and now while that's going on, she's saying, let's get this legalization going. I mean, she's saying it because she wants to have something established to protect the children, because, dear God, won't somebody please think about the children?
Yeah. No, is this is this something that is invite only? Their rallies were?
You have to register. I've been putting it all over social media that people need to register. I've got people that are going to some of the meetings, and they're bringing lawyer friends with them. They're coming with documentation so they can refute the studies that these people are using to try and make their point.
Yeah, for example,
say we have a study, and when you read the study doesn't say what these people say the study said. but they just say we have a study, and everybody just goes, oh, okay, they have a study. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Nobody goes any further than that. When you read the study, it doesn't say what they said.
Exactly. They just say a study. They don't give you any information of where it is, and then it always turns out that the advocates have to pinpoint their studies and all the information and all that, whereas they just come out with whatever they want to say, and that's it. Like this cancer thing. My friend Pete here, he's a cancer survivor, and I'm sure that you would probably speak up in a situation sitting in there.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
My doctor was very misinformed about the whole process and everything. Yeah. So his doctor was misinformed, and it took a lot of time. So yeah.
We do know of one educated person, shall we say, who was in attendance and made efforts to speak about the benefits of CBDs, the benefits of cancer by and large, and found pretty much that he was shut down fairly quickly. In fact, the whole question period was shut down fairly quickly because I think someone else was starting to make rumblings and refute some of what was being said. But for any of our listeners who may be Canadian, may be interested in attending one of these upcoming tour of live visits coming to a city near you, shall we say, they'll be happening in the cities of Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver. Go online, Google the Canadian Centre for Substance Abuse. It will bring up their website, and on there is the registration form. It tells you where the dates of these events, and do your best to get there. One of the things that we're hoping to do, if we have the time, is quickly pull together some sort of a handout even that people could have and be outside passing out to people, trying to refute their lies. And
they're really worried about adolescents resorting to cannabis for medicating or self-medicating or even for recreational purposes. They'd prefer kids were just on things like Ritalin. That would make everybody just happier.
And interestingly enough, for some of our listeners who may not be aware, many of the drugs like Ritalin that they put kids on have never even been tested on kids to find out what the long-term effects of the use might be.
But we know what the long-term effects and use of cannabis are. I mean, if there was anything detrimental, what's wrong with the people from the 60s and 70s? They're all fine. Okay, nobody's drooling on themselves. We're all, I mean, I'm not even from them, but they're my parents' age and stuff, and they're fine.
I completely agree with you. Okay, guys, it's time for me to jump in here. It's time for us to go for a break. Okay, so we got to leave for a few minutes. And I just want to let everybody know that each and every night as we go in and out of our commercial breaks, the P.A.C.E radio show will highlight a Canadian cannabis band. Tonight, the band is In Disguise with the song Green Outlaw. When we return, Debbie and I will continue our talk with Chris Backer of Crime or Passion. This is the P.A.C.E radio show on lifestyleradio.ca. This is the P.A.C.E
20 miles from nowhere, choppers in the air, tracking dogs are on him where he's going now, he don't care. They'll try and wear him down, he's got legs to spare.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CMCP Society, or search Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the P.A.C.E Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the P.A.C.E Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
How it was found don't matter now. It's time to get away. A promotion waits for the cop to catch you on this day. But the green...
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show live here at lifestyleradio.ca, or you can find us at other audio locations such as Spreaker, Mixcloud, and TuneIn Radio, plus other social media outlets. Lifestyleradio.ca is the home of several radio programs. This includes the Coverage Radio Show. This program is an eclectic mix of rock, alternative, punk, and metal tunes. And you can catch the live version of Coverage Radio Show with host DJ Michael every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight on the P.A.C.E Radio Show, I'm joined by our guest, Chris Backer of Karma Passion, plus my super joint host, Debbie Stultz-Giffen of the Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana. Debbie and Chris, are you there?
We are.
Good. Okay, before the break, we were talking about this cross-Canada tour. That sounds like a nasty thing, a reefer madness that's going on. So I'm just going to...
your tax dollars at work.
Oh, it's terrible.
But like I said, even though we missed the boat here on the East Coast doing something about it, I think that there's enough people starting to go to the other three events that an impact should be made.
Yes. Oh, yeah. People got to refute what they're saying, and being the fact that you have to register and all that shows that they're trying to control the people who they bring in, as far as I'm concerned. So, all right. Well, I'm going to pass the questions back over to Deb.
All righty. At the part of Al's introduction about you, Chris, he mentioned Karma Compassion, and I'm wondering if you could briefly tell our listeners what Karma Compassion is and what you do through that.
Karma Compassion is basically a club that I kind of put together. I found that I was helping a lot of people kind of upstairs in my living room all the time, and wife's trying to watch the soap operas or whatever. So in order to get it out of her face and get it out of my living room, I kind of opened up my basement to basically a home office where I help people basically with everything from legal assistance to just how to medicate with cannabis oil, dosing, making suppositories, capsules, whatever they want to do with it. So I've converted over my home, like I said, to a bit of an office. I've got a vapor lounge kind of waiting room. So if you're in Sackville and you're out running around and you wanted to have a place to pop in and you didn't want to sit in your car and medicate. You could pop in and medicate here safely, and there's some Wi-Fi and grab a coffee, and then go about your business. It was just my way to try and, like I said, get it out of the house a bit, or get it out of my living room a bit, and give people a bit more privacy, so there's not the TV blaring, and I can have a nice quiet talk with them about the situations that they get left in from our medical system or our legal system. Get sent home with a pat on the shoulder saying, sorry, good luck, I can't do anything else for you, and then they wind up coming to people like me or whatever, and they're looking for answers. Because when they say they've tried everything, they just mean every pill. They didn't talk to you about any alternative medicines. Then you haven't tried everything. You haven't talked about every possibility.
And it seems that most of the time cannabis ends up being the last resort for medicine. Yeah, I mean, and my favorite thing about that, and I try and bring it up a lot, is, and we say it ourselves, we say it's our choice of medicine. And for a lot of people, they call it our choice of medicine. But in order to get it, okay, we were subjected to the fact that we had to try every other medicine for our condition first. So was it really, at that point, is it your choice of medicine, or is it your last option of medicine? If you could give me something else, then I might have considered it. But nothing else does what it does. So how is that my choice? Well, it would be your choice if on diagnosis of your condition, it was listed among several other choices. Not after medication A through Z. Yeah. Have failed you and left you with your health on a fraying thread kind of thing. This is just it, and don't we have a responsibility? If you know something can help somebody, aren't you supposed to tell them? Okay, isn't it your responsibility to help them with that? I mean, somebody comes to you and they're crying, they go, can you tell me about this? Yes, I'll talk about it, and I'll tell you how it works and why it works and how you should be doing it, how to tell if the stuff you're buying is safe or not, and there's a lot to know that just gets left out.
Do you get a lot of people of a whole different age range coming for assistance or advice or with questions? No, I find I mainly get older people, not so much young. I don't know. Yes, people are very they don't think of that until it actually happens. Because we do some public education, and when we're out in the public and non-cannabis events, that's what we attract. There's a lot of the older people, and people are surprised to see that. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, and that's why I've always said, if you want to see if it works or not, I mean, just look at senior citizens, okay? They're not going to spend their money on things that don't work, okay? They're not out trying to get high. If this didn't work for them, they wouldn't buy it. It's that simple. They won't take anything that doesn't work. And we've certainly seen evidence of the interest that seniors have in exploring cannabis as medicine from many of the public events we've done here through Maritimers Unite, through Medical Marijuana Society. We went to a seniors expo. In fact, Marcel Gignac spoke at that and gave an educational seminar, and all of the people that were at the seminar flocked back to the table at varying points, full of questions of how to use cannabis as medicine. Seniors are great. They're not scared to say anything. They don't hold back at all. It was great conversations, great debates. It was a lot of fun talking to them. With some of them have been holding on to those misconceptions their whole lives, right? So correct. Like my friend Pete here, he did some of the home shows and stuff with me with Treating Yourself magazine. And I'm sure he can say the same thing. The people that come to the booths when we're doing that.
Yeah, they were older and they were quite curious about the whole deal. Me being a cancer survivor and talking to them about my experiences with it, and I'm 46 years old myself. So
yeah. So so it's great. It's great to see everybody getting involved, no matter what age they're at.
It is. I mean, if one of the things that I found was the most funny is our big banner says MUMM, Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana, and the seniors would come around and they'd look at it, and you could see them read it. They'd look up, they'd see MUMM, and then you'd see them go, Maritimers Unite for Medical, and as soon as they said it's like you tricked them into swearing. They turned on their heel and they were gone.
Gone.
It was the funniest reaction in the world. It was like you tricked them into saying the word. They weren't even ready for it. So it was.
I should let the two of you know. Well, I got the two of you here together. I should let you know that our P.A.C.E does their public education every weekend at a market here in our town, and that's through Canada's. And just recently, we've received some of your paper information for handouts, your MUMM's newsletter and Justin Trudeau's letter. That was sent to a member of the Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners, Linda Houghton, and she joins the booth every Sunday. And she brought that up. And people are very interested in that letter. They are taking them.
And that's fantastic. Something has to be done about it. They said that they were going to handle it. There's no point things being continuing the way they're going. Just continuing arrests of patients, and it's uncalled for and it's unnecessary. And something's got to be done about it. It's a waste of resources.
It's unreal, really. Just in the last week, 2 weeks, I'll go back, I've heard from 4 patients who've been arrested and charged. Most of them have been right within my own county, which is a fairly small county in rural Nova Scotia, and the other one in the county right next to it. And there's, 16 other counties in this province, so I'm sure it's not unique. The arrests seem to still be running rampant, and yet when bona fide medical need is shown to the prosecutor, the charges are being dismissed.
But by then there's like $60,000 worth of fees and charges and lawyers and all that other crap. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and also if you take into consideration many of these patients, their spouses end up with extra trips to the doctor, maybe extra medications for stress and what have you, and their lives are being turned upside down.
Yeah, because they never come in nicely and nice and gentle. They destroy the house.
Well, I was hearing that from a patient just a couple of days ago when he was describing the raid that took place in his house. I mean, he even talked about RCMP officers taking a blanket off of his daughter's bed and taking it to another area on the property where there was dog feces, and the blanket was literally stamped in the dog feces. I mean,
yeah, they go to the kitchen cupboards, pour out all the pasta, your cereal, everything goes on the counter. Just pour it all out. Just empty out the garbage cans. It's absolute just wanton destruction.
Well, for sure, and patients ending up feeling A, violated, and then B, stressed by these looming court dates that they could possibly end up going to jail over. So I think it's ludicrous on one level for the Liberal government to be proceeding at what looks like to some as being at breakneck speed to legalize, although some couldn't figure out why it wasn't at least legal by November 1st. But without making sure that the medical program is just as fine-tuned as a fiddle and running to absolute perfection, because otherwise they're going to end up getting lambasted with constitutional challenges again, I think.
You figure they'd be prepared for once.
You would think so. You would think so. You know, they've been failed 15 years of running a medical program, and what's it going to be like for legalization?
All they got to do to get it right is throw a couple of patients on some of these panels and boards and stuff. Okay, you can't do this when it's just doctors and cops and Health Canada. It's got to be patients in there too. They don't get it.
Well, they tried that with the MMAR. That's how the committee was set up. I remember back in 2003, and then they decided that, oh, well, maybe we'll include a couple of patients. So they basically cherry-picked the patients. One of them tried to be a voice for us, and the other one was so busy trying to conform with the other people on the committee that they really served no purpose in the end. So I think it would behoove them to, like Chris says, find a couple of well-spoken people who were willing to be a part of that committee and can take the voice of patients with them. Yeah,
I agree, Deb. That committee was lacking patients' voices.
So it's time for change, for sure.
Sure is. It sure is. Okay, we got about a minute or 2 minutes before we go to our commercial break. So,
I'm just going to throw out there quickly in that little bit of time that you mentioned the letter. The letter to the Prime Minister. Basically, it's asking that they stop persecuting compassion clubs and involve patients in the process, stop arresting patients. If anybody listening is interested in a copy of that, they can go to the MUMM Facebook wall, the Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana Society, and it's there listed in our documents, so you can download it, print it off. The address to send it to is in the top corner. Just put that on your envelope, and because it's going to the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, there's no postage required. Just put your name and address at the bottom of it so that you'll be sure to get some acknowledgement that it's been received, and whatever the government comes out with for their standardized form letter approach to this kind of thing, because I'm sure that's what's going to be going on.
Yeah, I see you use an example in the letter of a person being charged for 30 plants, and their fine was what, $1 or something?
Yeah, that was the decision from Quebec.
Wow. Okay, guys, it's time for another commercial break, and then we'll be back. So tonight's featured band is In Disguise, an East Coast band, and the song September Days. When we return, Debbie and I will continue this conversation with Chris Backer, a Canadian cannabis advocate who wears several hats, like a lot of us do. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Cops will make it bigger. The truth will always fade. They'll talk about the millions nobody ever made. They say they want those green outlaws gambling doing time.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CMCP Society, or search Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners.
Tune into the P.A.C.E radio show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stultz-Giffin, or Alison Murden, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Say they're gonna win that war, it just can't be won. For every cop, there's 100 green outlaws out.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the P.A.C.E radio show. We are being broadcasted live at lifestyleradio.ca. Plus, you can find us at Shoutcast, YouTube, and other social media. As I mentioned earlier, we highlight a Canadian cannabis band or artist. Tonight we feature the East Coast band In Disguise and their song September Days. These guys have a few cannabis-related songs, so if you search for them on YouTube, you'll find them playing some of their music in lots of fields of cannabis. That's right, buds everywhere, and they're playing their music, and they are in disguise. So you can find their music on YouTube and check them out while you're there. Tonight on the P.A.C.E radio show, I'm joined by our guest, Chris Backer, the Vice President of Maritimers for United Marijuana, and a joint host, Debbie Stultz-Giffen, who is also MUMM's chairperson. Debbie, Chris, you still there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, there's just gremlins, man. You just never know. You know, they come and go. I'm always worried. I get worried.
Aren't we?
Yeah. Okay, you guys, from my understanding, have something pretty important to do tomorrow?
Tomorrow is a trial or...
Friday.
What's that?
Friday,
yeah.
Yeah, I should have let Deb start with that then.
Yeah, I can't get the date right to save my life, man. Yeah, Friday, 29th is Chris Enns from Pharmacist and the bud tender there are going to be in court and standing up to, I guess, to enter a plea or make a decision, know whether or not they have representation or whatever the case may be. And there'll be a pile of us showing up down there, anonymous, and a lot of MUMM and a lot of patients going to show their support of Chris and the bud tender, and that the fact that the dispensaries should exist and that they're important for the patients because the LPs just ain't cutting it.
Well, and certainly not for everybody. There are people who depend on them who that works out for, but a lot of people like to have that going in the door experience, seeing what they're buying, being able to smell it, being able to talk to somebody about what effects you could expect from it.
Well, it's the talking to is the important part. Like I said, I mean, these people, for the most part, they're leaving a doctor's office with a pat on the back and being told, sorry, I can't help you. Best of luck. Go home. Make yourself comfortable. And they're coming in shaking and trembling and a shoulder to cry on and an ear to listen, and somebody that sympathize and understand where they're coming from, and to recognize the feelings of fear that they're going through. It's what the LPs don't do that. They're just there to sell you some shit and get you out the door.
And laugh all the way to the bank. Really,
that's all they care. I mean, I don't sell. I provide the information. But at the dispensaries, you can pick up the medicine and see it beforehand, and talk to people about capsules, and they use the extra money that they usually make, and they turn that back into oil. They were giving capsules away to cancer patients. That's the stuff that the LPs don't do. They're too money oriented.
And there's certainly been some financial support for some of the court cases ongoing, and all kinds of things they do to help the community at large, really.
Exactly. There's another one February 3rd or 4th. James McDonald's back in court, and the pharmacist was instrumental in getting James as far as he is now. So they're important. They're an important resource, and for a lot of patients, they're the last option. There's no other hope.
Well, and it certainly beats the black market.
It does. I've seen patients that hop on a bus and travel from one part of the city to the other to get a gram. Okay, and you can't get a gram from an LP. They're not even going to talk to you about a gram.
No, they, like you say, they certainly provide a vital role in the community. So if anybody listening is from Nova Scotia and interested in attending, it will be at the Provincial Courthouse on Spring Garden Road, and the request is that people gather around 9 o'clock outside of the courthouse. I think court's convening at 9:30, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, absolutely, and the more the merrier. The judge, when he was there to be released, recognized the amount of support and the patients that were there, and how important what they do is, and how we recognize it as such. And he did too. So it means a lot to the courts when they see that kind of support. It's a community based thing, and it's important for us to stand together.
Certainly that was one of the impacts that we were hoping to make with the creation of the Court Support Initiative program, was being able to gather enough people together to stand in solidarity behind some of the people who were being arrested and going to court, in hopes that the judges would pay attention. And this is the second time that I've noticed. I wasn't in court that day, but certainly the last time that James McDonald was in the appeal court, the courtroom was small enough that we did well, but we squeezed 15 people in there, and there wasn't room for any more. But certainly that little courtroom was packed. The judge had to send word out through the sheriff to move James to the head of the line so that things could get moving more quickly while they were trying to process us all through security. And he mentioned the fact that they were aware that there were supporters there sort of apologizing to us that things weren't proceeding that day, kind of thing. But it's interesting. I think they are starting to notice the support that they have from the public.
Is there, like, when someone gets arrested, for a patient like that gets arrested and they're going to court, is there some procedure or system that MUMMS has in place? Somebody that maybe that organizes this, that reaches out to other patients to come and help out?
Well, that is kind of what we do, and as long as we're aware that somebody's being charged and they're looking for the support, we try and get as many people as we can in the courtroom. I sit there and I watch a lot of people represent themselves in court, and family members don't go, friends don't go. It's pretty sad when people stand there all by themselves, and you're faced with the possibilities of jail time, and you're in a system where the legalese, they're speaking a language you don't even understand half the time. So to be stuck that way by yourself is pretty scary, and just to have somebody standing in the in the seats that's there for you because they've got the shirt on, Mum Court support, and we're there for you. I mean that means a lot to people. So
is this something that other groups maybe have inquired, or maybe you've tried to maybe get other groups involved in doing a court support program? This can go out to both of you.
I got a message from Kim McNerney this morning from Yellowknife that she was going to court in support of a patient and had provided them with information. And but as far as a coordinated effort, I'm not aware of any. Are you?
Yeah. If other groups hear about your program, it'd be nice that others started doing similar things. I know Kim's up there. She's way up north, so kudos to her for getting something started up there, because that's all it takes is one person to get something started and it can grow, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I just started working with a lawyer trying to put together a bit of bit of an index card of what your rights are, whether if you're being stopped in the car or when you're being questioned or what you should say. Because, I mean, what the scariest thing you could have is when they tell you get one phone call and you have to go, yeah, can I have the yellow pages, please? I mean, it'd be nice to know that you could have a number that you could call where the person, you said, yeah, hi, I'm from MUMM, and they go, okay, well, don't worry about it. We'll get you out of there. And you can start like that as opposed to coming from a position of no power. If you have a little bit of support, then you're not coming from that position of no power.
Correct.
And this lawyer was also going to help to pull together resources for people willing to self-represent.
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody you find yourself at the wrong end of the law and you've been busted for something cannabis related, and whether you're a patient or not a patient, or you never talk to a doctor, or whatever the case may be, I mean, talk to somebody before you talk to your lawyer, because if you talk to your lawyer and your lawyer doesn't go, dude, that's terrible, I can help, then you need to find yourself another lawyer. And people don't even know what their own situation really is. I mean, they need to have somebody else that can look at it objectively and put their position into perspective for them, so they know how to even speak on their own behalf. They don't get it.
Exactly. And because a lot of people, they don't know what all the rights are and stuff like that. Because I know, like, for example, I got busted back in '99 for a little bit of oil, and when I went and talked to a lawyer about it afterwards, he told me where my mistakes were, and I just thought, geez, just something so simple as that, and I could have just.
My favorite example is I was talking to somebody with a patient and a lawyer, and the lawyer found out from the patient that the patient did it because he liked it. Okay, and as far as the lawyer was concerned, that just sounded recreational, but the patient had Asperger's. Okay, so the fact that he likes it might be his way of articulating that when he smokes it, people don't yell at him as much. So that makes it medicinal, whether or not he realized when he was smoking it, it was medicinal. Okay, his life is better when he smokes it. Okay, that still has to count. Okay, even though he can't articulate it or doesn't even know that that's why it's happening.
Exactly.
And the lawyer doesn't recognize that because they're not a patient. They don't understand what it's like to be sick and have to use this as medicine. They don't get the way it works for us. So we're there to put things in perspective for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's and to be able to get the information and education out of people so they can make, even if it's not medical information, just so that people understand the benefits that they're seeing and not realizing that they're even seeing them.
Exactly. And then if it's a legal case, I mean, we've got the case laws for different cases that have happened in Nova Scotia, and what if there's been dismissals or they just drop the charges, whatever the case may be, and then you just present that and you go, look, this is how they do it here for this, and people will be able to self-represent for people that can't all afford a lawyer. Because legal aid isn't an option. Legal aid just tells you to plead out.
Yeah, they just want you to get it over and done with. So,
well, I remember, was it 2003, 2004, Al, that legal aid were likening it to terrorism, and that was the reason that they were using for forcing patients basically to plead guilty for cultivating cannabis.
Yeah, I was in court the other day, and a kid pled guilty and paid $200, and he now has a criminal record for 0.11 grams of cannabis.
Yeah.
Okay, a tenth of a gram.
I've got a 70-year-old friend who's been busted twice for 2 joints by the same police officer. Wow. The last time, and he went to court, and the judge just looked at them and said, like, what are you even doing here? You two look after it. So basically pointing to the defense and the prosecutor. And he got 5 hours of community service. So he went and played guitar, because he likes to play guitar, at a senior's place. And he enjoyed it so much, he did it for 10 hours.
There you go.
Yeah, but it's such a waste to have to.
But now you got a record for it. Is the problem? Okay.
Oh yeah, exactly.
For 10 hours for nothing, that would be one thing. But now he's got a criminal record, and that's crap.
Crap. Exactly. And it as the judge shook his head at it, he should have just thrown it out.
I mean, like, how bad a day are they having that they've decided to proceed with charges like that on a tenth of a gram? You can't even roll a joint out of a tenth of a gram. That's what you get out of the seat cushions of my car.
Yeah, you're right. Sadly, you're right. Yeah.
A good stem.
I mean, God Almighty, like, you got to be realistic, and that's not. But how bad could it have gone if he had pled not guilty? Like, how much worse could it have gone for a tenth of a gram?
Exactly. If you don't plead guilty, then luckily, here in Canada, we're not stuck by the 3 strikeout rules. But in some places, like in the U.S., they have that 3 strikeout rule, and you can imagine going to jail for life because you had a conviction for a tenth of a gram.
Insane.
Totally. Exactly.
Yeah, that sure puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. Like, you put somebody in jail to serve, 30 or 40 years, costs what, a few $1 million, because they got caught with a tenth of a gram. Like, what kind of places, it's just sad. Okay.
We were a rich country paying for laws like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. You're just paying to give somebody a home. Like it's a sad situation to be putting people in jail for stuff like that. So
definitely.
All right, we're down to the last few minutes here. I don't know whether you have anything else you want to touch on before we go to our spotlight here and highlight somebody or a website.
Well, just if you need to talk to people, there's people out there. I mean, that's what Mom's about.
Yeah, there are people out there just to find, and any other cannabis advocates that are out there listening. Even advertise in the local newspaper so people know where you are, people know where to find you. So. Okay, Chris, have you got, we usually like to have our guests highlight a person, place, or thing, or website, or let people know where they can find you. Have you got something like that, we can let people know where to find you?
They can find me. I've got the Facebook page at Karma Compassion. And for a while there, I was doing what was the Maritime Medical Marijuana show, was a video show. And that's on YouTube, Karma MMMS. and just I can always just be gotten a hold of through MUMM. And if you're looking to talk to somebody for legal advice, looking for a doctor, you need to get a hold of anything cannabis related. I mean, we try to be a resource for anybody that needs it.
Good, exactly. Sorry, Debbie, if you got somebody or someplace you'd like to promote or let them know where they are?
Oh, I can always think of something, Al. And
I'm
just
sure.
in sitting here, I wanted to mention again to any of our listeners who may be from the Maritime area that Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana Society are sponsoring a Valentine's Day Bazaar and Educational Forum called For the Love of Growing. And that's going to be held at the Bedford Legion February 13th from 12 until 4. We'll have some educational seminars in the afternoon, including the history of our organization, some of our future dreams and aspirations, as well as an array of seminars and presentations on various aspects of growing. And we'll have quite an array of vendor tables available where people can purchase a variety of things, primarily related to cannabis, or pause and even have a mini massage.
Oh, cool. When's that again?
February 13th.
Nice.
Saturday of the month. Yeah.
They can find that at your website?
Actually, all of the details, I'm not sure if it's been uploaded to our website because that's somewhat under construction, but all of the details can be found on the Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana Society Facebook wall, and it's the pinned event at the top of the page and a beautiful poster created by Marcel Gignac.
Nice. Now I got one last person here. You got my friend Pete here in the studio with me. You got anything you want to say before I sign off here?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me, Al. It was a good time.
Good. You know, you get to see what happens behind the scenes, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just a reminder to let everybody know that I will be back next Wednesday with my joint host, Kim Cooper, and her scheduled guest, Kim Hardy Martel, as we continue to promote those who are working hard to educate the uneducated and fighting to bring an end to cannabis prohibition. You can find P.A.C.E on Twitter at P.A.C.E Radio, and you can also like the P.A.C.E Radio show on Facebook. We are also found on the web at pace-online.ca, or you can find us by searching for people advocating cannabis education. Thank yous go out to our sponsor, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics, who are located in Belleville, Ontario. Al Rapp of LifestyleRadio.ca. Also, a big thank you to our guest, Chris Backer of Karma Compassion and Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. Plus, my joint host tonight, Debbie Stultz-Giffin, who is the chairperson of the same organization. Plus, my friend Pete here, who's sitting beside me. And to you, our listeners, thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.